Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is I, Dave, the Tabletop Wanderer, and we are back in Darwin. And yes, our saga is wrapping up, and we are going to do what today? We're going to continue, of course. That's crazy, like, that was, like, okay, whatever. So, in the order of the games that I've been playing, I started off with Dells and Dangers, then 4 Against Darkness, then Easy D6, and finally with Cairn. So today is an Easy D6 episode, but it won't be just an Easy D6 episode. You will see what I've got in store for you. So let's start off. So once again I'm using these because I have nothing else. I can't get what I really want done. What is happening? So we have Saga and Greenwit. Last episode, Saga and Greenwit, Saga helped out Greenwit. She managed to help him out. Sort of. She was tasked with getting Greenwit, and so he was being attacked by the gargoyles, and she managed to rescue him. But then he tried to run from her. Go and check out that episode. That was a fun episode. So today we are following Saga and Greenwit. They had gone to the main entrance of the Black Flame Society's hideout, and that's where we are going to pick up the story. So Saga and Greenwit, they walk into the hideout, and in front of them is Beatrix and Dalius. So Beatrix, the elf paladin leader of the Black Flame Society, and Dalius, the tiefling warrior who is second in command. And Saga walks in with Greenwit, and she says, "Here we are, and I've brought this creature to you." And Beatrix says, thank you, little goblin. We do appreciate it. He is vital for what is to come." Dalius turns to Saga and says, "You did good. You did real good. Didn't think you'd be able to, get him here alive." And Greenwit goes, just barely, this animal, she stabbed me in the leg." And Saga turns to him and says, "Shouldn't have tried to run away from me, should ya? But he's here. Now, pay me what you owe me, and I'll be out of your hair." And all of a sudden, the door slams open, and in walks, Yirmio with his newfound friend, who is, what was her name again? I got her around here somewhere. Where's that? Okay, I forgot her name. The missus came up and she did like a whole cleaning session here, and I've probably got the strangers page over there somewhere. Okay, but in walks Yimio with the stranger, who I can't remember her name, Yelena or something like that. And with them, she brings the shroud, right? Because they were the ones that found the shroud. They found the robe, and it is the Shroud of Night. It's purple fabric, the gold lining, like scintillating, sparkling, right? And Beatrix looks to them and says, "Welcome, we have more friends." And Greenwit looks at Dalius and says, "You're the one from Alcliff." Dalius says, "Yes, and I see you've brought a guest. Welcome." We'll call her Yarna. "Welcome, Yarna." And Greenwit turns to Yarna and says, "You know this fella?" She says, "Yes. I was tasked by Beatrix and Alias to find this artifact in Orla Lane." And Ymir turns to the other two and says, "Who are these two?" And Saza looks at him and says, "I am Saza. And this here is the butcher, Greenwit. Don't mind him, he's just a little beaten up." Ymir then turns to Yarna and says, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you not tell me that you were working for the Death Flame Society, the Black Flame Society?" And Yarna says, "You did not need to know. You helped me, I helped you. That was it." And then through the door walk in two little harefoots. Two little harefoots. A grey wolf, a brown wolf, sorry, and a fell cat and a half orc. They all walk in, and Dahlia says, "Well, this party's starting to get on." And Rollo turns to Beatrix, "Mistress, we have come with news of what has been happening in Coast Rock and in the Old Moss Forest." And Beatrix says, "Well, what is it, little Harefoot?" And Grimalda says, "Coast Rock Forest was attacked by some ghastlies, and we managed to find what was happening with all the livestock and stuff around Coast Rock. It was a wolf beast. But the wolf beast, he was not just a wolf beast, he was like sort of a werewolf." And Niga turns and says, "Yes, we killed him and he turned into a human. He rambled on something about the dead, the darkness." And as Niga says the word darkness, Ymir looks to Yarn and says, "Darkness, we've heard that." And everyone turns to them and says, "What do you mean you've heard that?" Beatrix says, "Yes, Ymir, tell us more of what you have heard." So Ymir tells the story of what happened in Orla Lane, and then they heard in the whispers of the wind of the forest, they heard the sort of poem, "In the darkness our power schemes to rule the land through darkened dreams." And when hearing that, Beatrix turns to Dalius, says, "Can it be, Dalius?" And Dalius says, "We do not know, mistress, but it is a good probability that yes, it can be." Naraya turns to him and says, "What do you mean it could be?" Saza turns and says, "Yes, what could be?" And as Beatrix is about to say something, we'll change that to that, because just like, okay. As Beatrix is about to say something, in walks Radford, Novella, Penley, and Sigourney. And Sigourney, Novella, she's the one carrying the scroll from last episode. She runs in, "Mistress, you have to read this. You must read this." And Beatrix says, "Yes." "What is it?" She says, It's a scroll. It's what we found in the tomb of the unknown hero, a scroll. But I don't know what to make of it. And she hands over the scroll to Beatrix. Outside, the weather's turned. The bright sunny day has started to darken. Dark clouds are started forming on the horizon, and they're making their way through the sea into the Bay of Alnor. And thunder starts to roll, and Beatrix unrolls the scroll and she starts to read it. And she turns to Dalius and she says, after reading the scroll, she says, "Yes, it is true, Dalius. It is finally here. Tell me, little ones, Harefoot, did you find anything in Coast Rock, in Old Moss Forest?" And Naraya, she puts her paws into her bag and she turns and she brings out the crystal skull. She bows her head, she says, "We found this skull, mistress. We found the skull." And the other three, Rolo, Grimalda, and Niga, they turn to look at Naraya. And Beatrix, as they're looking at Naraya, Beatrix says, "You did well, Falcat. Thank you. Thank you for your services." And Niga goes, "What? What do you mean? Thank you for your service? Naraya, you said you were from the Black Blade Society, the Dark Blade Society." And Naraya said, "Yes, I am. But we were tasked, we were sort of contracted to find this artifact for the Black Flame Society." And with that, Beatrix turns to them and says, "It is okay. The scroll will tell everything." And so she picks up the scroll, everyone's looking at her, and she starts to read. So I wrote out this thing over the week with a bit of help from ChatGPT, but yeah, okay, I did mix it up a bit and, tinker around with it. And so she starts to read the scroll, and she starts with his veil, the living fade, and all the light begins to shade. By ancient cloth, by shadow's spite, she returns to endless night. Bones unwept and souls untethered, by my will your name remembered. Rise up from death's embrace, I call you now to take your place. Blood of slaughter flows from me, a tribute to the dead, a price to see. From shadows deep and graves untold, now return to claim your hold. And they all look at her and they say, what does that mean? What do you mean? And Sigourney, "Mistress, what do you mean?" Novella, "Yes, what do you mean?" Radford turns to the Tiefling, "Tiefling, Dalius, what is this all about?" And Beatrix says, "I shall tell you. I shall tell you what is happening." No, not this one, this one. So, for you to understand what is happening, I must take you back in time. Millennium ago. The city of Alnor that you know is built upon an ancient city of which was called Ardestin. Ardestin was massive, way bigger than Alnor. Alnor is just part, if we should say, of like 20% of what Ariston used to be. Back then, there was an elf necromancer. Her name was Vierna. And Vierna arrived, no one knows from where, and she commanded a legion of undead. The Great War of the Undead went on for over 50 years. Humans, goblins, elves, everyone banded together to try and defeat Vierna. She was too powerful. What was her purpose? No one knows, only her. But we deduce that she wanted to turn everyone into undead, to conquer the land of Darwin and possibly the world. She was finally defeated and imprisoned into the nether realm by the high mages of Ariston. Those mages, they gave their life to protect the land of Darwin. But many think and believe that a small band of people worshipped Vierna, those closest to her, and they went on through the ages trying to find a way to bring Vierna back. We here, the Black Flame Society, we heard rumors of happenings, of things going on around Darwin, which pointed, we think, and we know now for certain, that something is up, that someone is trying to bring Vierna back from the nether realm. We asked all of you here, directly or indirectly, to help us find out what was needed for the return of the necromancer, in a hope that we could stop her return. You have now brought us some artifacts. The skull, the crystal skull, the robe, the shroud of the night, and this scroll. And the words in the scroll are sort of like a prophecy of what is to become, of what needs to be done, so that Vierna can return from the nether realm. Outside, the wind is howling, rain starts pouring, and our heroes can hear the population starting to scream. People are screaming, running around. Many like explosions happening off in the distance. A tavern that's probably just blown up. Everything is chaotic outside. And Radford turns to Beatrix and says, What is happening? And at that moment, Penley and Naraya run to one of the big windows that overlooks the city. And Penley turns around and says, Something's happening. Something's happening at the docks. And Naraya says, yes, not only at the docks. It looks as if the city's being attacked. And Beatrix says, well, I guess you have some work to do. And they all look at each other, and Niga says, "We'll go to the docks. If it's ghastlies there, we have fought them before. So we will go where the rivers meet the ocean." And all 5 of them, because the wolf is really healed up, they all run out the door and make their way to the docks. Radford says, "We shall go to the marketplace. That is where we will fight whatever is there." And they also leave. Ymir turns to Saza and Greenwit and says, "Where should we go? I have little knowledge of the city." And Saza turns to him and says, "Just follow me. I'll show you where." And Greenwit goes, "I'm not going anywhere." Beatrix says, "No, Butcher. You shall stay here with us, where it is safe." And they all leave. So the only ones that are left in the room is Beatrix and Dalius. So Beatrix is blue, Dalius, and Grinwyn. Dalius walks towards the door. He closes the door, locks the door, and turns to Beatrix and says, "We are alone, mistress." And she looks to Greenway and says, "Then we shall begin." She picks up the shroud of the night and walks towards the opposite end of the door of the room. And there is a table there made of large, thick oak. Some candles burning. But the table is clean. Nothing on it except the 2 candles, one burning on each end. She goes around the table, and Greenwit is looking at this and saying, "What's happening? What's happening?" And Dahlia says, "Do not worry. Do not worry." Beatrice lays the shroud on the table and she speaks the words, "With this veil the living fade, and all the light begins to shade. By ancient cloth and shadow spite, she returns to endless night." And as she lays the shroud on the table, the flames start to burn higher. The golden lining sparkling even more and more. And then she grabs the skull and says, "Bones unwept and soul untethered, by my will your name remembered. Rise up from death's embrace. I call you now to take your place." And she puts the skull where the head would be on the shroud. And the flames of the candle. Greenwich can hardly see the candles anymore because the bottom of the candles, because the flames are so high, so big, so bright. The skull starts to tingle, light emerging from the eye sockets, like just spitting out from everywhere. And the tiefling comes up behind Grinwit and grabs him. And Grinwit's going, What? Let me go! Let me go! Leave me alone!" And the tiefling says, "Do not worry. It will be over soon." And he throws him on top of the shroud on the table. And Beatrix says, blood of the slaughter flows from me, a tribute to the dead, a price to see. She brings out a dagger. From shadows deep and graves untold, now return to claim your hold. And as she says hold, she sinks the dagger into the back of Greenwit's neck. His eyes open up, surprised, and all you could hear is like as blood starts to spill and flow upon the shroud. The flames of the candles light burn even higher, turning from yellow and red and orange to a sickly green. And then Beatrix says the final words, the words that she did not say to the party members. In darkness born, in darkness sown, Vierna call you to your throne. Rise again from depths below. The land is yours, and death shall grow. And the blood on the veil, on the shroud, starts to join and converge into one spot, and then it grows and grows and grows. And Beatrice is looking at it, smiling. Dahlius has let go of Grimwit because he can't move anymore. He is dead. And this column of blood swirling and turning. Beatrix looking at it says, come, come, mistress. And the blood just goes straight into her eyes, and she starts to shiver and goes into a sort of epileptic seizure, and she falls to the ground. That's where we're going to leave it. Okay, hope you all enjoyed this part of the story, and like I said, the saga is finishing up, so we shall see what happens next time. Okay, thanks for watching the video, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Throw the name around, throw the Tabletop Wanderers here, throw that around in your inner circles of RPG buddies, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great one. Bye bye.